interesting times. For the headlines. A 21-year-old man has been charged with murdering the parents of an American teen as part of a chilling plot to kidnap her, according to police, after 13-year-old Jamie Claus was found alive following 3 months in captivity. The young Saudi woman who fled her family seeking asylum abroad is scheduled to land in Canada after successfully harnessing the power of Twitter to stave off deportation from Thailand. President Trump appeared close to declaring a national emergency to bypass Congress and get funding for his Mexico-U.S. border wall project in a political crisis that saw 800,000 federal employees go without paychecks. I'm Alma Angeles, wherever you're watching from around the world. Thank you very much for joining us, and now to the news. First, a powerful explosion badly damaged a bakery in central Paris on Saturday, injuring several people and smashing nearby windows after a suspected gas leak, according to police. A fire broke out after the blast at around 9 a.m. local time in the city's 9th district, a residential and shopping area. Images posted on Twitter earlier showed debris covering the street and the lower part of the building blown out and in flames. Now, parked cars were also damaged in the blast. Firefighters worked to extinguish the blaze and evacuate some people from the building using ladders, while emergency workers treated some of the injured at the scene. Investigation on the blast is still ongoing. In other news, a 21-year-old man has been charged with murdering the parents of an American teen as part of a chilling plot to kidnap her after 13-year-old Jamie Claus was found alive following 3 months in captivity. Take a look. The subject of a nationwide search since her parents were found murdered in their home in rural Wisconsin in October, Claus made a seemingly miraculous escape Thursday afternoon, seeking help from a neighbor who alerted authorities. Minutes later, police arrested the man she identified as her captor, Jake Thomas Patterson, and have charged him with abducting Claus and fatally shooting her parents.
Jamie was taken against her will and escaped from a residence at which she was being held and found help. We also do not believe at this time that the suspect had any contact with the family. We do believe Jamie was the only target.
Now, authorities said Patterson had carefully planned his attack, specifically targeting the young teen. For reasons that remained unclear, the sheriff said the suspect had no prior contact with the Claus family and that the teen was the only target. Jamie Claus was found alive by the suspect's neighbors on Thursday. She had escaped on foot from a remote home where she had been held against her will after her parents' murder. Jamie was discovered on Thursday in the small town of Gordon, some 70 miles from her home in Barron. According to Douglas County Sheriff Tom Dalbeck, Gordon police pinpointed and arrested Patterson 11 minutes later thanks to a description of his vehicle that Jamie herself provided.
This case was challenging given the proactive steps the subject took to avoid detection. In cases like this, we often need a big break, and it was Jamie herself who gave us that break.
Now, Sheriff Fitzgerald said investigators did not yet know how Jamie escaped from the rural home or how the suspect was keeping her there. He said the suspect was not at home when Jamie fled and that he was probably driving around looking for her when police arrested him.
All I know is he was not employed, so he didn't go to a job. Other than that, that's all I know about his travel. And I know he was not at home when she escaped, and I don't know where he was.
Now, a local teacher named Jean Nutter was walking her dog when she found Jamie on Thursday. She told the Associated Press that the girl had shouted, "Please help me. I don't know where I am. I'm lost." Mr. Patterson was interviewed by Douglas County officials and transported to the Barron County Jail.
On Monday, January 14th, so Monday this coming week, at 3:30 p.m., the suspect will make his initial appearance in Barron County Circuit Court to be formally charged with 2 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and 1 count of kidnapping.
A shotgun similar to one used to shoot down the front door at the Claus home was retrieved on Friday, according to Fitzgerald, though he didn't reveal its exact location. Investigators have so far found no evidence that Patterson had ever been in contact with Jamie or her parents, including on social media.
We're working with the Human Services Department on what placement efforts will be taken for Jamie, but right now she's been placed with her aunt. We have recovered a gun consistent with what was used at the scene of the initial homicide. However, we will have to wait for confirmation that it was indeed the same weapon after examination by the Wisconsin State Crime Lab. The gun used at the scene on the night of the incident was a shotgun. We're working with the Human Services Department.
Meanwhile, a young Saudi woman who fled her family seeking asylum abroad is scheduled or has landed already in Canada after successfully harnessing the power of Twitter to stave off deportation from Thailand. Take a look. Rahaf Mohammed Al-Kunun, 18, was already en route to Toronto late Friday when Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that Canada would take her in. Trudeau's surprise announcement came after officials had heavily hinted that she was bound for Australia.
We have accepted the UN's request that we grant her asylum. That is something that we are pleased to do because Canada is a country that understands how important it is to stand up for human rights, to stand up for women's rights around the world, and I can confirm that we have accepted the UN's request.
Now, Al-Kunun's circumstance is similar to other Saudi women who have used social media trying to escape abusive relatives and other problems in the extremely conservative nation. She tweeted on Monday she felt safe under the protection of the UN and that her passport had been returned to her.
"I'm not leaving my room until I see UNHCR. I want asylum."
Earlier, she had barricaded herself in a transit hotel room at the Bangkok airport after she said officials told her she would be put back on a flight to Kuwait. She alternately referred to those people as Saudi diplomats or employees of Kuwait Airways. Now, Saudi Arabian authorities denied being involved. She apparently took advantage of being in Kuwait to make her escape. In Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, women cannot travel outside the country without a permission from from a male family member. According to Thai authorities, she said she had recently rejected Islam and was afraid she might be killed for that.
UNHCR.
In other news now, President Trump appeared close to declaring a national emergency to bypass Congress and get funding for his Mexico-U.S. border wall project in a political crisis that saw 800,000 federal employees go without paychecks. Now, on Saturday, it reached its 22nd day, overtaking the previous record, the 21-day shutdown in 1995 to 96 under then President Bill Clinton. President Trump is refusing to approve a budget unless it includes funds for a wall on the Mexican border. Democrats have rejected his request for $5.7 billion. About a quarter of the federal government is still out of operation until a spending plan is agreed, leaving 800,000 employees unpaid. Now, on Friday, those workers included prison guards, airport staff, and FBI agents, and missed their first salaries of the year. Meanwhile, President Trump has calmed speculation that he is about to declare a national emergency in order to bypass Congress and get the money he needs. His proposed border wall was a key election pledge, and he described an emergency declaration as an easy way out.
The easy solution is for me to call a national emergency. I could do that very quickly. I have the absolute right to do it, but I'm not going to do it so fast because this is something Congress should do. and we're waiting for the Democrats to vote. They should come back and vote.
However, the Democratic leader of the U.S. House of Representatives said the ball was in President Trump's court. The president invited Democratic leaders on Wednesday to the White House and began by asking if they would approve the wall in exchange for him ending the government shutdown. When the Democrats said no, he walked out, and Nancy Pelosi said the meeting was a setup so he could walk out. Take a listen.
Not only was the president unpresidential, surprise, surprise, yesterday in his behavior, I think the meeting was a setup so he could walk out, but I'll say just that. And as I said to him yesterday, these people cannot go to their fathers to cover their payments. He has not told the truth when he said he asked me if in 30 days I would support border security, and I said no. He knows, the people in the room know, that that was not what happened. But he said in 30 days, will you support a wall? And I said no. The soap opera that the president's petulance and obstinance is creating, we all support border security. We take an oath to protect and defend the American people and to defend the Constitution as we do so. And that's what this debate is about.
He asked Speaker Pelosi that if he opened things up quickly, if he reopened the government quickly, would she be willing to agree to funding for a wall or a barrier on the southern border? And when she said no, the president said goodbye. But what I think would have to be distressing to 800,000 federal workers and to tens of millions of Americans is the answer in all of this from the Democrats is we will not negotiate.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's the easy way out. But Congress should do this. This is too simple. It's too basic. And Congress should do this. If they can't do it, if at some point they just can't do it, this is a 15-minute meeting. If they can't do it, I will declare a national emergency. So what we're not looking to do right now is national emergency. What we want to do, we have the absolute right to do it. In many ways, it's the easy way out. But this is up to Congress, and it should be up to Congress, and they should do it. And if they can't do it, if they yell that we can't do it, there's no way we can vote for security. There's no way we can vote for safety. All Nancy and Chuck have to do is tell me. Well, I'll tell you what.
Meanwhile, Miami's International Airport is planning to close its G terminal this weekend after several TSA workers refused to work without pay during the partial shutdown of the federal government. Take a look.
Right now, there's approximately some 40 employees that are calling in sick from TSA. So because this terminal doesn't have the manpower to accommodate all the passengers, it got shifted to FNH. Right now, the airport, the airlines, TSA, Customs, we're all doing everything possible to make the passenger happy.
Meanwhile, as the government shutdown continues, Iglesia Ni Cristo members volunteered to clean up the National Mall. Eliza Manglikmot reports from Washington, D.C.
On its third week now and tying with the longest in U.S. history, the U.S. government shutdown has furloughed about 800,000 federal employees. 9 departments, or about a quarter of the government, is closed. This includes the NPS, or the National Park Service, who takes care of all national parks. The temperature hovers around the freezing mark today, but a group of community volunteers are braving the cold and giving their share to help clean the surroundings. Joining Eagle News today is a minister of the Church of Christ, Brother Matthew Capistrano. Hello, Brother Matthew.
Hello, good morning.
Brother Matthew, what is going on here today with your group?
Today we are here to represent the Church of Christ, or the Iglesia ni Cristo, and we are here to do our part to fulfill our values as members of the Iglesia ni Cristo, which is to continue to be of service to our fellow men. And today we have our community service. We decided to come out and to help clean the National Mall. Well, just like what's taught in the Holy Scriptures, that's what we hold on to. Our values are based on scriptures and the words of our Almighty God. We will continue our volunteer service, and we're guided by our executive minister, Brother Eduardo V. Manalo. And through his leadership, we're always being reminded that we always take the opportunity to do what is good. And today, we're taking advantage of the opportunity, especially now, to keep the environment clean. We know that there are many people who are furloughed right now, and it would affect the environment, so we're here to help out in any possible way.
Whether this government crisis will soon end or last for months isn't clear. What is clear today, though, is that members of the community, like that of the Church of Christ, are doing what they can in this time of uncertainty. Reporting from the National Mall here in Washington, D.C., I am Eliza Gonzalez Manglikmot, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Eliza. Meanwhile, Virginia's Fairfax County Public School District held a hiring event for government employees who have been furloughed during the ongoing government shutdown. From Department of Agriculture advisors to Federal Aviation Administration engineers, government employees apply for substitute teacher positions, hoping to get some relief from having to miss paychecks as the shutdown continues into its third week. Take a look.
Sad that we have to help in a situation like this, but honored that we are able to respond to the needs of our community. That's most important. Someone asked, well, what happens if it opens tomorrow and they go back? That's the best thing that could happen. Those who are processed still would have an opportunity to serve as substitutes throughout the year.
I think this opportunity is a great idea that the school districts are teaming up with federal workers, because substitute teachers are always needed. I used to be an educator, so I know that that's a big deal. And it also gives us some relief from having to miss paychecks and also getting to interact with the kids in our community.
It's something, because we don't know how long it's going to last, even if it's just a day. At least it's something to do with my day today. And then if it goes on for months and months, if I pick up a few $100s here or there, it might help pay for a bill or two. And you never know what prospects might come up later. So if I have to change career paths, then this might be a good way of doing it.
All right, to other news now. We meet an Ivorian refugee in Spain, one of at least 53,000 migrants who have risked their lives this year making the perilous passage across the Mediterranean, no matter how rough the seas. Take a look.
Abu, an 18-year-old from Ivory Coast, is one of nearly 53,000 migrants to have arrived in southern Spain this year, more than triple the number last year. He got to Almeria on October 19th and is now in Madrid. His journey to Europe took 2 years, travelling across northern Africa and finishing with a grueling boat trip across the Mediterranean.
The women were crying, even the men were crying. I wasn't crying, but my heart wasn't at ease. I thought my life was over. Really, I thought it was over.
Abu was rescued by lifeguards and now wants to get a job and Spanish residency papers. But many don't get this far. On Barbate Beach, this improvised altar remembers 23 young Moroccans who died trying to reach Spain in November. They're just a few in a long list of close to 700 victims this year. That's 3 times the number last year, and it's on the rise.
When we had recovered almost all the bodies from this boat in which they were traveling, we got the news that a new body of a woman had appeared, a woman from sub-Saharan Africa.
The shortest crossing from Africa to Spain is only 14 kilometers, and it's become the most popular route to Europe. Though relatively short, it's an abyss for the rickety boats that mafias sell to migrants. And authorities fear that seasonal bad weather will not deter many from making this perilous journey.
en unas condiciones meteorológicas.
In weather conditions that aren't great, in a changeable sea where there are strong currents, where fog can fall. Frankly, it's a very dangerous trip.
Some of those who didn't make it are buried in this cemetery in Tarifa, most of them unidentified. The oldest grave contains the remains of 9 migrants who died in the Mediterranean in 1988. The 18-year-old from Ivory Coast is one of nearly 53,000 migrants to have arrived.
To other news now, a Milwaukee bus driver stopped to save a barefoot toddler from wandering into an intersection and carried the child out of the below freezing temperatures. According to the Milwaukee County Transit System, the 19-month-old girl had gone missing after authorities believed her mother had a mental health crisis. Take a look.
Oh my God. No. I'm shaking. Oh, I am too.
The Scottish vessel Falls of Clyde has been a landmark in Honolulu Harbor for over 50 years. However, the state of Hawaii has recently impounded the 140-year-old ship, ordering it to be relocated due to safety and environmental concerns. EBC Hawaii correspondent Mio Asenas with more.
On December 12, 1878, shipbuilders Russell & Company launched the Falls of Clyde in Scotland. Her service began with her voyage to Karachi in the Indian Ocean region. She would later sail to various ports around the world for the next 2 decades. As the Falls of Clyde sailed into the 20th century, her future was put into question as new technologies in transportation were introduced. The ship's career in Hawaii ended temporarily in the 1920s, when she was converted into a bunker vessel in Alaska. Her service there would last until the 1950s, where she was later moved to Seattle, Washington. With help from Hawaii's maritime community over the next several years, school children across the brand new Aloha State raised money to bring the Falls of Clyde back to Hawaii in 1963. After years of restoration, she was finally opened to the public as a museum in 1971. Sadly, in 2007, the Falls of Clyde was closed to visitors because of safety concerns. An independent marine surveyor estimated that at least $24 million was needed to restore the ship, with another $1 million for annual maintenance, money which the state government said it cannot afford. McEwen thought the amount was exaggerated. The next 10-plus years would be challenging for McEwen and the non-profit organization, as they were repeatedly confronted by the state to fix the ship and leave the harbor, or face severe penalties. Fortunately, late last year, another non-profit based in Scotland took interest in saving the Falls of Clyde and currently working with McEwen for a long-term solution to move the vessel back to her birthplace.
Reporting from Honolulu, Hawaii, I'm Mio Asenas, 1 with 25.
Thank you, Mio. Eagle News International will be right back. Stay tuned.
Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. That you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Business News, this is Cesar Vallejos. The country's exporters should brace for a difficult 2019 as the lackluster performance of global trade is expected to continue this year, the National Economic and Development Authority said. Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Ernesto Pernia acknowledged the need to improve the country's midterm export strategies and sustain merchandise trade growth this year. The Philippine Statistics Authority reported on Thursday that the country's total merchandise trade grew by 4.1%, reaching $15 billion in November 2018. This is the slowest pace since the 2.7% recorded in March 2018. Moderation in global growth appears inevitable in 2019. Given a less encouraging global economic outlook, the country needs to ramp up the implementation of strategies outlined in the Philippine Export Development Plan 2018 to 2022, Pernia said in a statement. He added that supporting micro, small, and medium enterprises is necessary to increase their participation in global value chains. Simplifying loan processes, provision of financial literacy trainings, and facilitation of linkages between MSMEs and large corporations are some ways to spur the internationalization of MSMEs, Pernia said. He said the Foreign Investment Act must be reformed to allow foreign firms to transfer manufacturing facilities to the Philippines to serve both the domestic and regional ASEAN markets. Pernia said a low-hanging fruit is the full implementation of the Ease of Doing Business Act, which calls for the creation of the expanded anti-red tape authority and the full operationalization of the national single window. These measures, he said, will benefit existing firms, encouraging expansion, as well as attract new firms to do business in the country. The top 3 export markets for the Philippines last November were United States, Japan, and Hong Kong, which accounted for 16%, 14.7%, and 13.1% of the total, respectively. Third telco player, Mindanao Islamic Telephone Company or Mislatel, the joint venture partnership between Davao-based businessman Dennis Uy and China Telecom, has formalized an undertaking with the National Transmission Corporation meant to provide high-speed and affordable broadband in remote and rural areas of the country. Mislatel spokesman Adel Camano said the two companies signed a memorandum of understanding. This will be part of the backbone of the network that we will roll out, so it is a precondition to having a reliable national coverage. With a well-established network, we can have better and more affordable internet services, Tamano said. The MOU also paves the way to realize the objectives of the National Broadband Plan. Tamano said Ms. Latel is working on signing similar agreements with the National Grid Corporation of the Philippines, the National Electrification Administration, and electric cooperatives nationwide. The NGCP is in charge of operating, maintaining, and developing the country's power grid. It has been awarded a 25-year concession deal to operate and manage the transmission facilities, but Transco still owns the assets. NGCP's fiber optic capacity is available for the use of third parties in the implementation of the MBP. As a leading advocate against online piracy through #PlayItRight, Globe Telecom, along with the International Coalition Against Piracy, expressed its support for the proposed bill ordering the blocking of websites that illegally distribute copyrighted material like videos, music, and gaming. Senate President Vicente Soto III recently filed Senate Bill number 2109, or also known as the Philippine Online Infringement Act, which will enable the Intellectual Property Office through the National Telecommunications Commission to cancel the licenses of internet service providers that allow illicit websites to infringe or facilitate infringement of copyright. Globe President and CEO Ernest Koo, who recently joined the board of directors of the International Group Asia Video Industry Association, said that this legislation will help put a stop to the growing online piracy that has continually impacted original content creators and the Philippine entertainment industry. The economic and social impact of online piracy is profound. Revenue loss are in millions and thousands of jobs are affected due to a myriad of illegal streaming websites and illicit streaming devices, or ISDs. More importantly, these illegal sites and devices put customers at risk, not only because of its content, but specifically malware, Koo said. The Philippines continues to be a haven for cyber criminals who illegally make content available online, especially with new technologies like ISDs. It is a growing concern in Asia, including Singapore and Thailand. A new study commissioned by the AVIA showed that 15% of Singaporean consumers use a TV box or ISD for free streaming of hundreds of pirated television channels and video on-demand content. More than a quarter of those who own a TV box have canceled their subscription to an online video service. The same goes with Thailand, where over 45% of its consumers are using these illegal TV boxes. Koo said the proposed bill is an important first step towards relevant legislation, thus making it difficult for rogue site operators to act with impunity. Globe will continue to support efforts that will help stop online piracy, he added. Globe in 2017 launched its award-winning advocacy campaign #PlayItRight to help the entertainment industry curb piracy and protect intellectual property rights. Since then, the company has blocked nearly 2,500 illegal sites that hosted lewd content and child pornography. Tokyo prosecutors on Friday filed 2 new charges of financial misconduct against former Nissan chief Carlos Ghosn, meaning the auto tycoon is unlikely to be leaving his jail cell soon. Lawyers for the former jet-setting executive filed a bail application hours later, but have acknowledged that he will probably be detained under a trial. Ghosn denies any wrongdoing and argued in a dramatic first court appearance on Tuesday that he has been wrongly accused and unfairly detained. He was already facing a first charge for allegedly underreporting his compensation over 5 years to the tune of 5 billion yen or $46 million in official documents to shareholders. The charges filed today allege that the underreporting continued for another 3 years, and they include a charge of aggravated breach of trust over a complex alleged scheme in which Ghosn is said to have tried to transfer losses on foreign exchange contracts to Nissan's books. As part of the scheme, he is accused of also using company funds to repay a Saudi acquaintance who put up collateral for the contracts. Prosecutors also filed charges Friday against Nissan and Gone aide Greg Kelly over the additional 3 years of underreporting pay. Toyota announced a recall of 1.7 million vehicles in North America as part of a general effort to replace defective Takata airbags tied to some 20 deaths worldwide. The sprawling recall concerned 4Runner SUVs from model years 2010 to 2016, Corolla sedans and Matrix hatchbacks from 2010 to 2013, and Sienna minivans from 2011 to 2014. The recall also involves luxury Lexus models ES350 sedans 2010 to 2022, GX460 SUVs 2010-2017, IS2050C and IS350C convertibles 2010-2015, IS250 and IS350 sedans 2010-2013, and Lexus ISF sedans 2010-2014. Scion XB compacts from the 2010 to 2015 model years are also involved. Dealerships will replace either the airbag inflators or entire airbag systems. This is Toyota's third large-scale Takata-related recall in 5 months. In November, the firm recalled 1.6 million vehicles worldwide. Japan has launched a departure tax for Japanese and foreigners leaving Japan from January 7th. The Japanese government will charge the new tax of 1,000 yen, or about $9, to people leaving the country by air or sea. This is the first national tax to be launched by Japan since the land value tax was introduced 27 years ago. Travelers are to pay the tax when buying tickets, but transit passengers who leave Japan within 24 hours and infants aged younger than 2 years will be exempted from the taxation. The government estimates that the revenue from the new tax will be about $55 million for the last 3 years of this fiscal year ending in March, and about $460 million annually for fiscal 2019 and onward. The government says it plans to use the revenue to boost the annual number of foreign tourists from the current 30 million to 40 million by 2020. The partial U.S. government shutdown entered its 22nd day on Saturday, becoming the longest in the U.S. history. It comes as U.S. President Donald Trump and the Democrats remain at odds over his demand for money to build a wall along the border with Mexico. The extended shutdown has been increasingly affecting people's lives. Federal employees remain unpaid, and security inspections at airports have scaled back. Asked about 800,000 federal workers missing their paychecks, the U.S. President Donald Trump said this. Take a listen.
Yeah, the message is that I appreciate their service to the country. They are incredible people, the federal employees that we're talking about. But many of them agree with what I'm saying and what the people in this room, who are experts, are saying. And reading this morning that so many people are saying the president is doing what's right, and even though it's affecting us short-term, temporarily, as you know, a bill was just passed, which I will sign in Congress, making sure that everybody's going to be paid immediately upon when this is over.
Border Patrol, our local law enforcement community, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Trump's demand for funding for a wall to crack down on illegal immigration, a central plank of his 2016 election campaign, has sparked a political crisis that has seen 800,000 federal employees go without paychecks. But Trump ruled out declaring a national emergency imminently to bypass Congress and get funding for his Mexico-U.S. border wall project.
So what we're not looking to do right now is national emergency. What we want to do, we have the absolute right to do it. In many ways, it's the easy way out. But this is up to Congress, and it should be up to Congress, and they should do it. And if they can't do it, if they yell that we can't do it, there's no way we can vote for security. There's no way we can vote for safety. All Nancy and Chuck have to do is tell me. So what we're not looking to do right now.
Meanwhile, outside the White House, federal employees are demanding that President Donald Trump and Congress to end the government shutdown, with many struggling to make ends meet. Watch this.
Brothers and sisters, listen to me out there. Brothers and sisters.
End the shutdown.
Hey guys, you gotta
No
be on the
more
street.
walls.
You gotta be on the street for me.
No more walls.
No peace. No paycheck. No peace. Do your job so we can do ours. Do your job.
Well, it's going to put a strain on our household budget the longer it goes on, because we've got a little bit saved up, but not enough to keep going indefinitely. So this, we're missing the first paycheck right now.
This lockout. Open the government.
Payments are due. We have to pay our mortgage bill. My wife works for a nonprofit. I was the breadwinner, so to speak, and times are tough now. We don't have money coming in. Luckily, we have a little bit of savings we can live off of, but it's not going to last long.
Stop the shutdown now. What do we want?
Check 1, 2.
The World Bank's New Year's message is not a cheery one. The organization warned on Wednesday that storm clouds are brewing for the global economy, with its January Global Economic Prospects report ominously titled Darkening Skies. The study shows that international trade and investment have softened, trade tensions remain high, and growth in emerging and developing economies is expected to remain flat in 2019. In addition, global growth risks being even weaker than anticipated. Governments are advised to increase support for central bank independence, ensure that their debt is sustainable, and maintain adequate buffers to ride out economic downturns. That's it for business news. This is Cesar Vallejos, and I'm one with 25. Eagle News International will be back. Stay with us.
Tungkulin ng MTRCB ang mag-provide na appropriate ratings sa lahat ng TV shows. Para ugaliin ng pamilya ang responsableng panonood. Teamwork tayo, parents!
Rated G, good for all. Oops, rated PG. Dapat may mga magulang para sagutin ang mga tanong ng kabataan.
Grabe, rated SPG, maselan!
Higpitan ang paggabay.
Pag rated MTRCB, rated responsable.
Let's go over to Florida, where the sparkling wharf in Tampa's Channel District boasts of great views, good food, and entertainment. At the scene is Abby Aragon.
Hey Digital Desk family! Today we're here in downtown Tampa at Sparkman Wharf, one of Tampa's newest waterfront attractions. Let's see what it's all about. Located in downtown Tampa, this newest waterfront property has a perfect view of the Garrison Channel. Sparkman Wharf's amenities include food vendors, dining areas, a large lawn area where you can catch some entertainment, play games, and watch games on a large screen TV. What I liked about the food vendors was their unique variety of pizzas and burgers to acai bowls and smoothies. I went and tried tacos from Gallitos, a Mexican eatery that displays the Hispanic influence in Tampa. In the lawn area, there are a variety of activities to enjoy, like chess, cornhole, watching games on the big screen, and enjoying live performances from local artists. Sparkman Wharf is renovated originally from Channelside Plaza to beautify the waterfront property and to draw in locals. With the exception of Splitsville, everything was brand new. By the way, I do recommend Splitsville for some good times bowling. The wharf is still not completely finished, however. The current plans are to have office spaces and retail centers finishing up in early to mid-2019. Overall, the atmosphere of this place is very lively and energetic. Everywhere you turn, there's people talking and having fun. Locals say that it's a big improvement from Channel 5 Plaza, which was more closed off.
I've watched this from the beginning. I watched when they first put the place up and how the moon used to be back here. I've watched all the different restaurants that were in here. It always has had restaurants. Splitsville's been here. Coming today, it was kind of exciting to see what they've done with it, and I really like it. Like it's really cute, and I hope it continues and grows. We need something like this downtown.
But even tourists look forward to enjoying the venue.
Well, I'm from Illinois, so just coming down here, we don't have anything like this down here at all. It's just beautiful, it's nice. Just be able to walk on the water. I love the restaurants, the little pop-up shops right here. I think it's really cool to see.
So next time you're here in Tampa, Florida, make sure to check out Sparkman Wharf. I'm Abby Aragon, ABC Florida correspondent, and I'm 1 with 25.
Thank you, Abby. Meanwhile, if you're curious about the tiny home movement and looking for something for small living or small space living, Archie Rose Natividad has got it covered at the BC Home and Garden Show in Vancouver. Take a look.
If you are a fan of HGTV or any home decor and reno show, we got a treat for you. We are here at BC Place Stadium for the BC Home and Garden Show. This 5-day event hosts over 400 exhibitors where you can check out a variety of things for your home. We're even going to step into Tiny Homes Village to check out an assortment of small homes featured in this event. Take a look.
Yes, this is the BC Home and Garden Show, and it's a little bit of everything. We have your garden needs, your landscape, your kitchen design, interior decorators, you know, any and all inspiration for your home and garden. We have some tiny homes, which people are really excited about. Those are brought here by Mint Tiny Home Company, and there's 3 of them on display, and they're all a little bit different, and those are very cool and exciting. We have various garden displays from different companies, kind of showcasing what you can do with your outdoor space and different types of styles. We have container pools, which everybody loves to look at. We have DIY inspiration things upstairs. We have food demonstrations and cooking demos, a lot of stuff, a little bit of everything.
Recently, there has been a rising movement in living a minimalist lifestyle, where homeowners choose to declutter or downsize their homes, even choosing to decrease their square footage.
I think people are really inspired about the idea of minimalizing clutter and stuff like that, so maybe you could say that that would be a trend this year. People are trying to cut back on all that extra stuff in their lives, so the mini homes have definitely been really popular.
Vancouver is known for its high prices in the real estate market, hitting the books with record-breaking sales in comparison to the rest of Canada, which is why tiny homes have become a solution to Vancouver's very expensive problem.
So as you can see here, these are all tiny home RVs. So these are all built directly on the wheels. You can take them anywhere, which is kind of part of the beauty of them. They offer a lot of freedom, basically.
Living in a tiny home offers plenty of benefits for families to enjoy.
They're finding that them and their children are getting outside more. Not only that, like you're living in them with say you have a small family, like say 2 of you and a child, right? You're finding that you're almost communicating a little bit better because you're in a smaller space, so you kind of have to. And that sort of goes back to like the older days when everybody was in smaller spaces. Yeah, we're finding people are kind of coming together a little bit more and as families, you know.
Whether you are looking to do a home renovation or simply a fan of interior design, the BC Home and Garden Show is the place to be. Reporting from the BC Place Stadium in Vancouver, I'm Archie Rose Natividad, and I am 1 with 25.
Meanwhile, in California, cosplayers upped their game at the LA ComicCon. Here's Alan and Eva Basilyahe for the report.
What makes Comic-Con events like LA Comic-Con so popular and successful? From what we've seen, it's the fans. Comic book conventions are powered by fans.
of what? Superheroes, anime, television, or the big screen? The answer to that is all of the above and more. There are no rules when it comes to what fans can geek out over. In fact, some blend their favorite character design or add a personal touch to cosplay something truly unique for them.
Who are you cosplaying as?
I'm cosplaying as a stormtrooper from Star Wars with a mix of little of the geisha. I have always been in love with Japanese culture, so I kind of wanted to infuse it, do something new.
I'm Bakugo from My Hero Academia, and the reason I chose this is because he's like, a lot of people think he's angry. I just think he's passionate. That's why I respect him.
And I'm Kirishima, also from My Hero. So Bakugo and Kirishima are like best buds, so I mean, we've been childhood friends, so it seemed fitting that, I don't know, I'm this character.
I'm the Wasteland Survivor from Fallout 76. So I've got a Pip-Boy here, which is from Fallout 4. All three 3D printed, finished, and painted.
I actually go to all the Comic-Cons and I go to a lot of anime conventions. I'm a professional cosplayer and he's a professional costume designer, so we go to all the conventions together and we cosplay.
So describe what you've seen and what you've done here at LA Comic-Con.
Taken a lot of pictures with other cosplayers and just walked around and enjoyed all the geekiness.
What made you come to LA Comic-Con?
Honestly, I wanted to meet up with all of my nerdy friends at a place where we could dress up and hang out together doing fun things.
It's a tradition that me and my boyfriend do every year, and we just, I don't know, we love nerds. So we're nerds, so it's just fun being just around like-minded people.
What would be a perfect geek fun time?
We love watching movies, so any kind of geekdom you got going on there. We also like reading comic books, novels.
For me personally, I really like to play video games. Right now I'm playing Maple Story, so yeah, that's my favorite right now.
I'd also have to say video games. I'm actually in school studying game design, so that's kind of my entire life right now.
Celebrities were on hand, like Katie Cassidy from CW's Arrow.
Yeah, that was definitely a fun memory for me.
Drake. And cast members from Cartoon Network's Steven Universe. What can you talk about the reception of the fans for your character Paradox?
You know, I came on to the show thinking that I was just going to be maybe like in 1 or 2 episodes. I had no idea that I was going to be a recurring character. So I love that the fans have responded to Peridot in the way that they have. As a voiceover actress, we're in the booth all the time, and through social media we get all that love. But when I see fans at cons and they're waiting in line and I'm like rushing, you know, and I'm like trying to spend so much time with them, it really makes me happy because, you know, in a world of social media when we're like just glued to our phones or television, you know, it's nice to have that one-on-one energy interaction. So that's what keeps me going.
Before calling it a day, we asked Comic-Con goers why people should check out this event.
There's so many really, really cool people here. There's amazing costumes, and the artist alley was just absolutely phenomenal to walk through. Don't be afraid to show up with a costume or without a costume. It's a good time, so you should just come and hang out.
I'm amazed at the array of costumes and like the quality. Everyone's really going all out. It's a lot of fun.
You should come. It's fun.
Yeah, this is definitely like one of the best conventions in LA.
In real life, science fiction and fantasy characters are only make-believe.
But for a few days in Los Angeles, even an ordinary citizen can reveal their alter ego.
Whether that be a superhero or supervillain.
Whatever the case may be, it's all in good fun.
And for fans of the Los Angeles Comic-Con, fun has become a yearly tradition.
Reporting from the Los Angeles Convention Center for Eagle News, this is Eva and Alan, and we are 1 with 25.
And thousands of fans felt the energy at the fun-filled New York City Anime Conference, now in its 2nd year. At the scene is Maynard Binaday.
Over the past decade, the popularity of anime has grown exponentially. I'm here at Anime NYC here at New York City in the Javits Center. Let's go check it out. From discovering the newest trends to rekindling the love of childhood shows. From admiring the amazing cosplay to buying the latest merchandise. Anime NYC has it all, even for the most casual anime lover. Only in its second year, the convention has already garnered over 36,000 attendees from all over the world. We speak to some attendees at this year's gathering of all things anime to get their reactions and share their experiences.
Makes me feel like I'm not the only one. I've been into anime for practically forever, even without really knowing it until I got older. And knowing that there are some like-minded people into the same things I am, it makes me feel, a lot better about that. Feels like, oh, I'm not alone. Hey, I love it. I could be a nerd. Everyone's a nerd. You're a nerd. That guy over there is a nerd.
I guess I come basically for cosplay. Like, I love making my own cosplays, seeing other cosplayers from the same thing that I'm cosplaying from, so we can just geek out about that sort of thing.
Growing up with anime, when I first saw anime, I was like, oh, this is pretty exciting. And today, every time I hear about an anime festival, I'm just really excited. I won't hesitate to come here.
The atmosphere at a show is really, it's very energetic, and everyone's really happy to be there, and they're excited. And when they come to your booth, it's a lot of like screaming or laughing, and it's super fun. So I love being on site, and I love being able to interact directly with the people who are looking at my artwork and appreciating it. So it's super fantastic.
I'm Maynard Benada here at Anime NYC, and that's it for today. We are
1 with 25!
Thank you, Maynard, and that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angeles, always 1 with 25. Good night.
Ang susunod na programa ay rated PG. Ito ay nangangailangan ng patnubay at gabay ng magulang para sa mga batang manonood.